Today on the Nebulos Entertainment Podcast, I will be flying solo and giving a quick development update on our upcoming project codenamed Aurora. We have talked in the past on previous episodes about the lessons we've learned from Stormlord Sales and moving forward. So, as the director and sort of project lead for this game, I have been taking those lessons into account and trying to design the game from a very basic standpoint moving up. We want this next game to be more focused on narrative and character development, and while that's core to us, we still want to be obviously fun to play. That's kind of the core or centralized idea that we want to chase. So we've talked about moving into Unity, and we've started laying the foundation for the mechanics that the player will spend the most time with. So what that means is essentially, everyone on the team is moving into Unity from Unreal, or they're new, so they're getting used to Unity. So we've created sort of miniature projects that allow them to explore condensed and isolated mechanics. So, for instance, something as simple as player movement, we want to explore in a small project by ourselves to get familiar with, and that could lead to creating the building blocks for what will come after. So, with this game being character driven, we want the character to feel good to play, because that's what you are going to be spending most of your time doing, is controlling the character. With that, what I ended up doing was create these miniature like playgrounds, essentially, that would have basic environmental assets and character assets that would let people like Jeremy or Eric or whoever else wants to take their hand at coding and getting these characters moving. They can take this package that I put together and start to create their own take on what they think the character should feel like. And then as a team, we're going to come together, play around with it, get a feel for it, see where, what we like from one, what we might like from another, and see how we can merge those and optimize. Because that's the most important thing, is having it be easy to iterate upon for the future. So we have been using project management software to sort of just track, like I said before, the building blocks or the core fundamentals of the game. So things like character movement, combat, NPC interaction, loading between scenes, things that are just going to be prevalent through the entire game. We want to get nailed down early, obviously. That probably goes without saying. So I have little or no experience with coding. I have a little bit. And I do very, very little of that sort of development. I focus more on asset creation, concept art, narrative writing, and storytelling, as well as figuring out the visuals within the engine. So we're sort of at a phase where everybody's off doing their own things to kind of get familiar with the engine. And me specifically, I have moved now that we kind of have the game design document essentially nailed down to get rolling, I've been moving into really focusing in on character art, the environment design. That's huge, because we want the environment, if you follow us on social media or have seen any of our stuff, it's going to be tropical, but we want it to feel unique, and we want it to feel and capture the culture of these characters that I'm creating. So we're trying to take that into consideration, and it's been, gathering references and building reference boards, sketching all over the place, building dummy assets that I throw together real quick to see if I can build a scene. So that's sort of where I am personally, and I know, we're working on the character movement and some UI stuff that's just kind of a necessity. So that, as a whole, is where the game stands right now. We are looking to, within the next few weeks, get the team experimenting with the character movement and get everybody, giving their input and feedback on how it feels to explore around these test environments we create, so that then we can take and iterate upon and create, a better feeling game. Just to give a quick little overview of the game, we've talked about this briefly in social media posts again, is you are playing as a character. There will be melee and potentially ranged combat that will make up a majority of the game. So after we finish the movement, we're going to start getting into the combat side of things. And that is where I will be working more closely with probably Jeremy, who's working on the character, to create animations for the combat and get those movements and hitboxes and everything down smooth, so that we can then move to the next step, which will probably be something like dummy AI or base level AI and enemies. And at the same time as I'm doing that, we're going to have people working on sort of getting the story implemented through non-player characters, like friendly characters that are in the game, and interacting with the villagers that you'll meet and other objects or things in the world which you might find. So we have the map down to where it's laid out, and we know how we want the game to flow for the most part for this initial project, and it's just now a point of we need to start executing on that. And I think we're getting off to a good start. We're working on a very Dark Souls-like elevator system. I know that sounds so lame to say out loud, but I really like the way that they have the call switches and the sensor switches when you step on the elevator plate. So it's not an elevator that moves constantly and you gotta wait for it. It's sort of if it's not there, you call it, and if it is there, when you step on it, it activates and moves. So it just cuts out a good bit of the waiting game. Like if you just miss an elevator, you're like, gotta wait 30 seconds for it to come back down. So again, that sounds so simple and so goofy to get excited over, but those kind of design things are really what I think is going to make the game feel good to play. Make sure that nothing is frustrating. Make sure that everything feels fun as you're playing it. Like, beyond combat and beyond the story and everything, if it can feel good to run around, if it can feel fun to run around and just play as the character, then as you build up from there, it's just going to, exponentially increase. So there was a brief overview of where we stand on our newest project. Thank you for taking the time to listen. If you'd like to support us and dive deeper into the world of game development, you can do so with our Nebulos Entertainment Patreon. The link is in the show description. Be sure to follow us on social media at Nebulos_ENT to stay up to date with our latest developments. Above all, remember that there's a story in all of us. It's up to you to choose how you write yours. Thank you.